Good morning, dear friends. Saturday, May the 2nd. As we make our way through the time of the COVID-19. Hello to those of you joining us on Facebook and YouTube. There's a little problem here. I'll do this. There we go. There. And it's another day. Woohoo! So, I'm Robert Beatty. I'm broadcasting from Beaverton, Oregon, the Buddha Broadcasting Network, affiliated with the Portland Insight Meditation Community. The website for PIMC is portlandinsight.org, and there's a ton of wonderful information there, guided meditations, and also links to all the other teachers and what they're doing every night of the week. And tomorrow there's I think it's 10 to 3 or 11 till 3. Gary Sanders is doing an online retreat. And I have a couple of other announcements. I'll do it at halftime. A poem.
That's today, Robert.
Oh, shoot, you're right. Yeah, thank you, Jim. Disoriented as to time. All right. This is a poem by Monica Hall. I'm enjoying going deeper and deeper into my poetry collection. I'm good for about 2 years, one a day. So. This is Monica Hall. I had a dream of an easy life. A life where I loved college, made lifelong friends, impressed all my professors, graduated with honors, ceremony cap and gown, teary pride family. A life like a straight line, smooth, sharp, direct, forward, up. A life where I didn't feel betrayed or heartbroken or a deep, unquenchable ache. A pain so great I chose a hospital as the last resort. A life of epic romance, of ravenous passion and fascinating connection. A life like a party, myself the life. A life of ease, success, adoration. A life that preserved my virginal innocence, my sweet ignorance. A life without struggle, regret, or disappointment. A life without lostness, confusion, and quiet desperation. A life without loneliness, hopelessness, and self-doubt. A life without suffering, fear, and shame. A life of perfect harmony and happily ever after. I mourn this fantasy, this imaginary life, this fake life, this safe life, this meaningless life, this pointless, faithless life. What good would it be or do for me or for you? I thank this imperfect, chaotic, magical life. I rejoice in its apparent cruelty, in its roughness. I celebrate its mystery, for it is mine alone. It has created me, the one. Cheers to you, my flawed and flailing, my passionate, my ailing, complicated, messy, winding, tangled life. I salute you. So, please join me, if you wish, in the reminder of the refuge. I was awake early this morning, really early, 4 o'clock or so. Slept a little bit more after that, but mostly I was just lying there in bed with, blessedly, a totally silent mind, and sort of marveling in the fact of awareness, that awareness exists. I don't do it. Do you do it? Do you do awareness? It just is. And I was reflecting also on the central question of spiritual practice. Who am I? What am I? Am I these thoughts or am I this awareness? Am I the neurotic mind? So, to assist us on our journey, we have the refuges. I take refuge in being awake, in the Buddha. And I take refuge in the teachings, very helpful teachings, what they point out and what we discover through our practice. And I take refuge in the community of practice, the Sangha. And how about these raindrops? Can you hear them? Very nice. Imagine living in a place where we have rain. All the plants in my garden will be very happy. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. Well, that was sort of extra interesting in my end. Every now and then, not because of stroke, but just because of the way I'm holding my arms, my fingers go numb. So that was guitar playing with increasingly numb fingers. I pulled it off. Interesting. You just never know. Whoops, now I'm really caught. I tell ya. There we go. This and then this. There we go. So this morning we have a wonderful alternate primary object. Hearing. So we use a primary object, a training object, like the breath, the sensations of breath coming and going, or like hearing, this pointillist experience, in order to give us a kind of direction, to have the intention to stay present with the primary object, makes all the other activities of mind really visible or noticeable. So let us actually pay attention to hearing. And it's a useful question. Do I hear rain? Or do I hear momentary, pointillist sort of sounds? The rain is actually a construct of the mind. We make rain up out of memory. With bare attention, we come into contact with hearing. So there's hearing and knowing of hearing. There is also a body. There are clouds of sensation. There's the experience of coolness and warmth. There is the life in what we each call the face. And there is the coming and going, the rising and falling of the chest and abdomen, the sensations of breathing in and breathing out. Come home to yourself, to the life of this moment. In the words of Ajahn Chah, This moment is like this. It's such a wonderful simplification, such a marvelous way to bring our practice into perfect balance. Is there a mood present? How does it color experience? Is there pain in the body? If there is pain or discomfort, take a moment to turn toward it, to embrace it. The opposite of trying to avoid it. See if there's suffering attached. Is there just pain, or is there resistance to pain? And come home to your chosen primary object. Perhaps the sounds, perhaps your breath. Allow yourself to rest in the beauty of your being in the midst of this moment now. To abide in the present is to experience that which occurs in the present moment freshly. The beginning of each breath is not a surprise, but it is fresh. There is curiosity. What is the arc of this breath? How shall it be? And we abide in it as it comes all the way to fullness and then declines and then disappears. And the same with sounds. A sound does not exist. And then it does. And then it's gone. If the mind is tranquil and quiet, then we are present with the mind which is tranquil and quiet. If it's filled with desire or disliking, then we're present with that. And we can notice that these obscurations of mind, these hindrances, are not personal. They are the weather of the mind. Sloth and torpor, dullness, doubting, the wash of emotions, depression, anxiety, happiness. Notice how they are actually impersonal. And rest in the simplicity of knowing that. When awareness is resting in the present moment, time ceases to exist. There's just now. And there's nowhere to get to. There's nowhere to get away from. Experiences may be pleasant or unpleasant, or rather neutral. But we don't have to chase the pleasure or push away the painful. Like the raindrops that appear in hearing, so too with all the stories of our lives. As we take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And please now bringing awareness into this that we take, each of us, as my body. Let your head stretch to the left and right a little bit. Very gently, find the places where the neck is stiff. Open into them a little bit. Maybe let the head come down in front of the body so the chin comes toward the chest. And also roll over toward the back. Present in the sensations, the stimuli that arise in the human body. Then maybe let your arms be involved. Present. It's not as though meditation's over. Once we understand what meditation is, it's never over. We forget, we fall back into the trance, but it's always about the same thing, waking up. And now, becoming aware of the eyes in their sockets, and let them open. It's not a matter of letting them open, though. It's a matter of willing them to open and then operationalizing the muscles of the eyelids and then opening and then seeing consciousness occurs. Objects. In this case, the beautiful objects as you. And I want this morning, it occurred to me as I was here, I want to read part of a letter from Matt Flickstein, with whom I studied for several years, the non-dual teachings. Living from a non-dual perspective. And I invite you to let this wash over you. Don't try to grab at it, and I will post it today on the listserv and on my blog, which is portlandinsight.org/blog. Everything that arises disappears. Whatever is born dies. Nothing escapes the cycle of birth and death. It is important for us to directly and experientially realize that there is never a point in time when something exists and is not in the process of becoming something other than it was just a moment before. All suffering comes from clinging, trying to hold on to that which is perpetually changing, and all clinging comes from delusion. We must learn to live in the clarity and space of non-clinging, neither grasping nor pushing anything away. The key is to just be present with what arises from moment to moment, with neither holding nor resisting. At the same time, it is essential not to fall into the trap of denying the relative existence of our psychophysical organism and the world of experience it represents. Compassion is the willingness to play in the field of dreams even though you're awake. Approach life with joy, enthusiasm, love, and an open heart. Take delight in the manifestations of life. It is all a play of consciousness, and it really is all play. If something appears serious or burdensome, even death, then we're lost in delusion. That's a big one, isn't it? The field of dreams is this world of the senses with all its myriad forms. Being awake is the direct knowing that there is no one who suffers, no one who's born, and no one who dies. It is the five aggregates that are born and die. Who we are has never been born and never dies. Announcements. Where did I put that? Eeks. Is it here? It's here. Doyle Banks offers this. Doyle here. Whether the coronavirus pandemic and shelter in place has helped or hurt it, quote, I would guess that you might welcome a chance to, quote, power up your daily meditation practice. In the words of the famous U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren, I have a plan for that. Monday through Friday of the coming week, May 4 through 8th, I'll be posting a short pre-recorded video on the PIMC Facebook page at 12 p.m. Pacific each day to instruct, inspire, and challenge you on how to strengthen your practice. In each video, I'll focus on one of the five powers, aka the five faculties, which are conviction, faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. I'll focus on one of the five faculties. You'll learn what the power is, what you can do for your practice in daily life, and I'll give you specific challenges to apply it to your practice through that day and beyond. You can watch the videos anytime, as they will not be live cast, and so on. So, Doyle Banks doing something creative and interesting and no doubt well done, knowing Doyle, on Facebook. And tomorrow I will not be on at 7. It's a big sleep-in morning. Will be on at 10, regular Sunday morning. Doesn't help, though. I don't get to sleep in. I always wake up at the same time. It's hopeless. So, and a reminder that the other teachers are on the weeknights. Jim is on Monday nights, and Gary on Tuesday, and so on. And you could hang up from this and go off and join Gary on his day-long retreat. And last but not least, if these broadcasts are of use to you, if they're inspiring to you, if they change your life, then consider contributing to the Portland Insight Meditation community. You can make a monthly contribution in the Stewardship Circle, which helps budgeting and so on. So just feel into your heart and find what impulse arises for that, and similarly find other ways to be generous in your life. That a spiritual life has three legs. One is generosity, another is training the heart-mind meditation, and the third is moral and ethical behavior. So three of them make a very solid. They make one of these, a tripod, a very stable structure. So I guess that's all. I'd like now to open up and hear what's happening in your hearts as you face the blessings and challenges of this strange thing that we call our lives. These strange, unpredictable things. I guess let me say this about that. Um, Listening to the governor of California and Oregon, they're acting somewhat in concert. We're likely not going to meet at PIMC for some months still. And while I'd like it to be sooner, my guess is that we're in this COVID virtual land for quite a while. So I'm so impressed and pleased that we're pulling it off and maintaining, even deepening community in some cases. This is a really big thing that's happening in our culture. Yeah. So, and I guess I want to say I have some sadness about that. That our beautiful center, it's there. I was there yesterday. The gardens are gorgeous. So, anyway, now to you. What's happening for you?
Robert.
Tim, I love your bass voice. It's so cool.
Thank you. I was out driving around doing errands yesterday, a little shopping and that sort of thing. And I noticed a couple of things. One thing I noticed that the stores seem to be really getting a better handle on the social distancing and the safety and stuff. Like, real grateful for that. But I noticed there was more traffic than there has been recently. A little bit more, not like it used to be, but a little bit more. And I noticed that with some regret. And I noticed an increase in the number of homeless encampments and tents set up on the sidewalk and by the side of the road, by the side of the street. People living outdoors. There's always been a lot of that in Portland in recent years, but I think that's on a noticeable increase also.
Yep.
Just things I noticed.
Thanks.
Good morning. Hi.
Hi there.
I wanted to ask you about breathing part of meditation. And my breathing is, I think, a little more shallow than average. I've had lung issues in the past. It's really gotten a whole lot better, but I was just wondering if, when I'm meditating, if you have any tips on, and I know this is a desire, so I hate to, I have to bring it up.
It's fine.
That I might naturally improve the way that I take a breath.
I have the words of, I think it's John Lennon. Let it be, oh, let it be.
That's great.
Let your breath breathe itself, it knows how, let it be. The practice of mindfulness is all about letting everything be. And there are tons of ways. You could do pranayama. You could breathe in through one nostril and out through the other nostril and then hold your breath. And there are useful breathing exercises that you might want to do, but that's not your meditation time. That's not the sitting time is let it breathe itself. And if you find you're controlling it, go to sound for a while, and then it will naturally regulate itself.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's really a relief when we get that, because you don't have to improve yourself at all. I mean, what a thing that is. How could that be?
That's great.
So enjoy.
All right, thanks.
You remember I just remember when the Cookie Monster did that, it was letter B. They used to have one letter per day, and it was letter B, letter B. Actually, my favorite was Pee Wee Herman when they had the word of the day and they'd say the word and then the chair would free. Oh, it's great. Pee Wee was wonderful.
Thank you for the humor. I appreciate it.
Hmm. Life without a sense of humor just isn't very funny.
No.
Hey, Robert and Sangha, this is Carmen.
Hello, Carmen.
Yes, I'm also been listening to the raindrops up here on Vashon, but I just want to mention about this time. It's been 6 weeks, and I can't multitask like I used to. And I think the mindfulness and the awareness practice for the last 6 weeks has been very good for my soul, my heart, my health. And I just want to thank you, Robert. This has been a very wonderful gift. But I think this slowing down and seeing my neighbors on the walks and waving, and people seem to be kinder, and even though we're staying our social distancing, there seems to be abundance of love out there. And I think the springtime and nature and all the healing that the earth is doing, really, you can feel it, and by opening up the heart to these times. So I just want to thank you and
Your
the community.
your efficiency will have gone up so much because you won't be making the mistakes that we do when we multitask. It's so interesting that multitasking got to be accepted. And then they did the research on it, and it shows it really doesn't work worth a damn. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. Funny, huh?
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Robert. My name is Alicia, and
Hello, Alicia.
hi.
That's a nice pronunciation.
Oh, thank you. So I've been a little shy to talk. I actually come to you from Michigan,
Cool.
and I feel like I've been sort of Zoom crashing your Portland Sangha. But I wanted to let you know, first of all, that you do have a reach. So
Cool.
it's been really wonderful. Yeah, somebody yesterday mentioned that she doesn't have a lot of sort of outlets for this kind of thing, or a lot of people, like-minded people in her area, and that is sort of similar to my situation. So this has been a really important part of my day. And in fact, I was just thinking and reflecting, it's become the organizing principle of my day. Spring has come to Michigan here as well. And yesterday, my husband and I were out walking and, discovered a new neighbor, having a lovely conversation. And I said, gotta go.
That's
And
funny.
of course, you come to me at 10 a.m. So
Uh-huh.
it's actually a little more civilized. And then today also, I now do my beloved yoga class by Zoom, but it conflicted with, my all important meditation practice. So I had to cut it out halfway through and join you all. So it really has been, an invaluable addition to my life, I guess. It's so hard to start a meditation practice, a regular meditation practice. And I find that having this this time in this community has been really the essential key. So
How cool is that? How did you find it?
I found you through Tricycle.
I wonder who put it. We didn't put it in Tricycle.
Well, you know, one of the editors of Tricycle lives in Portland, so
Oh,
I'm quite sure he knows about you.
I see. How cool is that? Well, great.
Anyway, so I just want to thank you. I don't have a question, but I do. I'm so grateful that you're thinking that this will last for a while.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I would do without it at this point.
Huh. I have a question for you. Do people from Michigan really call themselves Michiganders?
We do.
That's
and
a
they're
real thing?
awesome. It is a real thing, and that's actually the more common pronunciation. But I have also heard from someone who works for the State Historical Society that there is an effort to refer to Michiganders as Michiganians in order to get people to come back. So,
Oh, again. Oh, how funny. Cool.
it's been it's been a depopulating state for a while. I think it's probably reversed that a little bit, but
Huh.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really glad you're with us.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad as well.
Mm-hmm. What fun.
So does that mean what's good for the Michigoose is good for the Michigander? Good.
That was good.
Robert. This is Jim.
Hello,
And,
Jim.
I'm also very thankful for you holding these sessions. And my day has changed in an interesting way. It starts quite a bit earlier. Wake up around 5 or 5:30, and I find myself sitting for about an hour before your broadcast comes on. And what's interesting for me is it's springtime, but what's particularly interesting is there's this, I'm sitting in my living room at the time, there's a window there, it's not quite light outside yet, and I've lived here for like over 20 years, and there's been a rhododendron bush outside that window for about 20 years, and even though I sort of knew there was a rhododendron, I couldn't really have told you what color the blossoms were, because there's many different rhododendrons around. But what's interesting is that even though I sort of know that in the spring the rhododendron bush goes from a bud to a bloom, I'd never really seen it do that before. And of course it doesn't happen immediately, but if you sit there every morning, I was aware of the fact that they were completely closed, and then a day or so later I was aware of the fact that they weren't completely closed, and then yesterday I was aware of the fact that they were opening quite a bit, and then today they were opened. And many people noticed this, but I hadn't ever noticed this, and so I'm starting to write my second poem about this, about the rhododendron that's been there for 20 some years outside my window, and I hadn't really paid attention to it. Now it's pretty exciting.
How lovely. Thanks, Jim.
Good morning, Robert. It's Sherry.
Hello, Sherry.
So, I live on the Inside Passage to Alaska,
Mm-hmm.
so I get to see all of the the boat, marine traffic pass by. I have a little island out in front with a group of pretty big fir trees on it and an eagle nest. This morning when you began to speak, I couldn't help but glance outside because I saw one of the pair that lived with this nest. I saw it flying, soaring, going down to the ocean and catching a fish, lifting it and flying back to the little island. And it's just special. I've been monitoring this nest for 15 years. I started reporting the results and how many eggs hatched and so forth to some organization, and it's no longer in existence because they lost their funding. But it's a gift every year. It's just this incredible gift, and I have a scope on a tripod. I can see the head, I can see the bodies, I can see the birds when they're standing there. And I can't see the babies until they get big enough that their heads stick up a bit out of the nest because it's far away and it's high. But I thought, you give us this gift every morning of leading us, and I wish that I could give you that gift back. So I thought, well, I could do it verbally, even if I can't do it visually.
That's a lovely gift. Thank you. Really. You do live in a beautiful part of the world.
I really do, and I'm just so deeply aware of it now.
Yeah.
I don't know what the word blessed really means anymore, but I'm feeling blessed, fortunate.
Mm-hmm. You know, as you spoke, and you described the eagle going down, getting the fish. There's a raptor. There used to be a raptor show at our local, the Portland Zoo, which is a very fine zoo. And the young woman had an eagle on her arm, and she said, my children were there. They were very little, and we were near the back. And she said, you in the back, this eagle has such acuity of vision that he can make out every eyelash on your face. And I thought, I suddenly felt protective of my kids. It's like, but I mean, it's really quite something that they have that capacity, and then can zap in and get a salmon just like that. Right? They just go to the it's like the salad bar. I think I'll have one of these. Boom. Incredible. Thank you.
Last year they only had one little fledge, but the previous year they actually had triplet.
Wow. Cool.
And I watched the three of them, as they left the nest, and the ma and pa helping them learn to fish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and this year, for the very first time, because I'm here so much, I was watching, and for the very first time, I actually saw the day that either ma or pa started to sit, and it was the 26th of March.
Huh. Cool. Thank you.
Hey, Robert.
Yes, I hear so.
Good morning.
Kathleen, hi.
Hey, good morning.
Hi.
I wanted to thank you for the gift of pause. I've been working on this fire in West Seattle in the home recently, and I was over with another vendor a couple days ago, and the house is devastated, and I looked out in the backyard, and there were lilies of the valley.
Oh my.
I unlocked the door, went out to the gardens, and gently picked lilies of the valley, knowing that no one could appreciate them this year, but that we could. And I brought a small bouquet upstairs and divided it and brought it home. And it was just, it's that stopping and seeing. And that's such a gift. Thank you.
How's your son?
He's still in the hospital.
Eesh.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah. 15 out of 21 days.
Wow.
Good morning, Robert. It's Wally.
Hi, Wally.
Hi. I just wanted to, I feel just immense gratitude and thanks to everyone sharing their lives, from whether it's Michigan or Alaska or Mississippi or Germany or Seattle or wherever. It is such
Qatar.
and
Qatar.
even Portland too.
Yeah.
We all, we start seeing who these others are. And Alicia, when you come to Portland, you have a bunch of people here who will greet you, and you know who we are. And I'm very.
Thank you so much. I was just reading all of the notes of welcome from everyone, so thank you all so much. I need to say that Portland is I've always thought of it kind of as my spiritual home, so this is not out of character for me, but I do feel like I'll have plenty of friends when I actually make it my physical home. So thank you all.
Yeah. And thank you, everyone, for all of this gift. That's all.
Robert, it's Pamela.
Pamela, hello. Good morning.
Sort of along the same line, I've been sitting with the Sangha via the live stream for several months before we had the pandemic. And, but from that perspective, I never got to see anybody that I was sitting with. I was, because I live in Salem.
Huh.
And so the gift of the pandemic has been to get to know the Sangha.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't see you in physical space, I get to see faces and I get to know your lives and how things are, and it has been a wonderful experience for me to feel connected to the Sangha in this way. So I'm really grateful in that respect.
So interesting how the unintended consequences that there are. I mean, clearly we didn't intend the pandemic, but the goodness that comes out of it through this different mode of connecting. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had a friend that was a piano player, and we were talking one time after I got to know him better. We were talking one time, and he was his legs were paralyzed. And after I got to know him a little bit, I asked him about it. He said, "That's the best thing that ever happened to me." He said, "Before that happened, I was just a dumb kid, a jock. I played, I was good at sports. Things were easy for me. I didn't have a thought in my head." And he got hit by a car one day and had to rebuild his life, and discovered music and the piano. And he said that was like the beginning of his real life. He said it was the greatest thing, the greatest gift he'd ever had. So you just don't know, huh?
You don't know. It's very heartwarming, isn't it, to hear each other speak, and it's quite touching. Every morning I'm touched by our presence together, but this morning it's particularly juicy somehow.
along with that, I go on a couple other Zooms, and I think, my just hunch is that the meditation helps the communication.
Oh, yes.
Because the nature of this is so different than other communities that I am trying to connect with. It's just, it's just different, and I'm thinking that's got to be the reason. I don't know. So,
Makes sense to me.
yeah.
I just wanted to say on this notion of community, actually, one of the things that has really been so heartwarming to me is that I get to know people because you'll speak frequently. So it's sort of fun to kind of like, there's Russ and there's Tim, and it's really, it's amazing how you can feel like you get to know people through this, new mechanism and tool that we're now all completely dependent upon. So yeah, there's just something about building that familiarity and, just hearing people, talk repeatedly, I guess, and getting to know them that way, that has really deepened my sense of community. So thank you to all of the frequent speakers.
I just want to add, this is Andra. It says nursing now because I had to change computers, but it's Andra up in Vancouver, Washington. And I just thought had that awareness when I was listening to this, going to different Zooms things and participating virtually. I do that as well. But I feel, that whole environment can also make you feel even more isolated. And in some ways, even though there you are all together, there's not the interaction. And I think you hit it, because that's what makes this really feel different, because we can talk to each other. So while I appreciate all those other opportunities, I'm still alone, and we're not really interacting. So that's all.
Thank you, Andra.
Hey, Robert, it's Keith.
Hello, Keith.
I am new to Buddhism, new to PIMC in the last, 4 months or so, and without it right now, I would be in the worst place that I could possibly be. And this has become so important to me to learn about me and to be with me so that I can understand the mechanisms that are impacting my life and how I can how I can filter through and focus on what is real and what is relevant and what is useful and important to my continuing on and growing and developing, and what is just noise. And it's the meditation, and it's the listening to all of you and learning. And it's taken a person who's always worked things out on his own, and here I am on a Saturday morning sharing this with a group of people. I would never do that before this.
Huh. How cool.
It is very cool. It's scary as hell, but it's cool. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I just looked at my watch. It's 11 after 9 already, or 8. How did that happen? So we're kind of warming up here. Anybody else want to share anything before we go?
Hi, Robert and everyone. This is Heather.
Hello, Heather.
Also, just noticing the time, I just couldn't help but reflect on how this has grown and how just needed and beautiful it is, and remembering that in the first week or so, you had it scheduled from 7 to 7:45.
Yeah, right.
And what expectations, when you couldn't imagine probably how this would work.
Yeah.
what it would be like and who would come and how long they could stand to sit in front of their computers to share this. And it's been fabulous for me. And Jim shared something about the difference on the listserv. He shared something a little bit about the difference between how we interact here. He talked about like left and right brain. When we're here meditating and being very receptive with one another, it's different than when we're maybe working online and trying to use the other part of our brain to be smart and interact in that sort of intense way. So yeah, I just really appreciate this and how it has grown and that I've been able to be involved.
Yay. Thanks, Heather.
Hi, everybody. Allison here. I think that I feel that gratitude is the topic of my day because of what we're feeling, all of us. And going back to the very beginning of starting our day together, I remember those early days. I was mad as hell. And what are we going to do about the administration? What are we going to do about people that are marginalized? And oh my gosh, there was so much anger, and that too needed to be said or felt, I guess, too. And I feel like an evolution here. That, some days are just wow. Some days like today we're so full of gratitude, and that's a beautiful thing. To be grateful, even though da is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear Allison. Well, I am going to need to go relatively soon. Anybody else sitting with something that you'd like to need to share? Well, Stephanie, time to get the boys, I guess, huh? Will you tell us their names again? I lost them already.
They're too busy right now, so they're on the floor. This is Diego.
Diego.
This is Jasper.
And Jasper. Hi, Jasper.
And this is the cool thing I have. It's a flatbed pickup truck.
Cool. Trucks.
Yep, they're playing trucks.
I get it. We tried to get my son Luke dolls at Christmas. He opened it and threw it over his shoulder.
That's funny.
We gave my daughter trucks. No interest. We did try, right? All right. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Adios, Diego. And goodbye.
Everybody. Thank you, Robert.
Have a lovely day.
Bye. Weekend. Bye.
Goodbye.
Hi, Jessica.
Goodbye, dear friends on Facebook and YouTube.
Robert. See you tomorrow.
Goodbye. I hope so. Hello, Jilly.
I see you, Avi.
Hi, Avi.
They don't use their camera, but hi, Dee.
Hi, Laura.
All right. Here we go.
Bye. I held on to you to the last moment.
Bye, Allison.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Robert.
Bye, Avi. Greg. James. Ah.